and in its place, four prominent horns grew up toward the four winds of heaven. Now, this thing is getting interesting. We are seeing that in the place of the horn that was between the eyes of the goat, four prominent horns grew up. So instead of one horn, the one horn got broken at the height of his power, and then four prominent horns grew out of the place between the eyes of this goat. All right, I will like to preach into this a bit because we begin to see how the evolution of the Grecian Empire into the Greco-Roman Empire was formed. At the height of the conquest of the Grecian Empire, King Alexander the Great, who was the leader of the army of Greece, he was also the king of Greece. He died, and his death gave way for the enthronement of his four generals in his army. So, being that the Grecian Empire had covered the whole world, the world was divided into four quadrants, right? And then each quadrant had a standing army. And this standing army were reporting to Alexander the Great when he was alive. But at some point, each standing army became a new leader for his region. The four quadrants were the Europa, which is Greece and Macedonia, Syria for the Middle East, Egypt for Africa, because we had Alexandria. Remember, they changed Alexandria. That's in the honor of Alexander the Great. And then we had an area called Thrace. That's present day Eastern Europe and Asia. Right? So we had four generals: Seleucus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Lysimachus. Those were the four generals in Alexander's army that grew out of Alexander's empire, and then they grew towards the four winds of the heaven. So ultimately, these four generals became the Greco-Roman Empire, because we saw an evolution of the Grecian Empire to become the Roman Empire. So I want to believe that this particular thing was hidden till 2021, because in 2021 I was studying across this particular scripture that I found something profound, blew my mind. Till date, I've not recovered from the revelation that I caught from this. The Greco-Roman Empire having four horns is actually the pattern or the template for the evolution of the Roman Empire through four phases. I saw the evolution of the Roman Empire right here through four phases, and that's the framework of this book. This book describes the evolution of the Roman Empire through the four phases. We see the character of the beast. We see his economic blueprint, his economic plan, his program of lawlessness. We were able to break it down here, hinging on this particular truth that we see revealed in scriptures. Let me just keep reading, because we are seeing that in this Roman Empire, this Greco-Roman Empire that has four phases, tells us that out of one of them came another horn. So we are seeing four kings out of one of that territory that one of the kings represented. Out of one of the horns, let me not say out of the territory, because the horn is the ruler. Out of that ruler came another horn. This horn started small, but it grew in power to the south and to the east and toward the beautiful land. Wow. And this is the where I hinge this conversation that we're having today. this horn, it grew toward ultimately the beautiful land. So there's a land that he desires. The land is beautiful. I want to believe this beautiful land is Israel. Let's do a short study, a quick study on this. Let's do a quick study on this because I see two types. I'm using my step Bible. You know, I like my step Bible. Step Bible helps you see a lot of light. All right. The ESV calls it the glorious land. Beauty, honor, beauty, decoration, and honor. So, what is the glorious land? He went towards the beautiful land. Daniel 9, and it's Daniel 9:9. Okay, let me check what John Gill. That's another Daniel 8:9. John Gill commentary. Let's see what John Gill says about the beautiful land. Wow. Daniel 8:9. Towards the south and towards the pleasant land. So Daniel 8:9, John Gill's commentary says the land of Judea. The land of Judea. This even sheds more light into what the beast has done to replace the inhabitants of this land, really, with the Edomites that came from Eastern Europe. Do you understand? It grew towards the land of Judea, the land of Judea, the land of the ruling tribe of the house of Israel, the land of Judah. I want you to capture what I'm seeing here. He grew towards the land of Judah. Okay. It's so called because of its delightful situation, great fruitfulness, and because God chose it above all others for his habitation, where his word and worship and ordinances were observed and enjoyed, and where the Messiah should be born and dwell. Into this Antiochus led his army and greatly afflicted and distressed it. He made himself master of most places in Galilee and Judea. The Arabic version reads towards the west. No mention is made of the north because there he himself reigned, Syria being north of Egypt, and that was south to Syria. Hence, afterwards, the king of Egypt is called the king of the south, and the king of Syria, the king of the north. Okay, very good. So we begin to see John Gill helps us even go deeper into the expression of the glorious land, the beautiful land. So we see that this little horn, the little horn we're talking about, it grew exceedingly great toward the south, toward the east, and toward the beautiful land, the pleasant land, the glorious land. God has a stake on the land, but the Antichrist grew into it. The Antichrist extended his influence into it. The Antichrist. So we're seeing here something very interesting, that the little horn, despite the fact that you see that he's a man that wants to put his claim over Judah, the land of Judah. Do you understand? He wants to demonstrate his claim over the land of Judah. At the end, that means Israel will be made to see the person in charge of its ruling house. And that's what is captured in the posture of Israel today. Israel is waiting for a Messiah. And when the Messiah comes, they will embrace him as their ruler. They will embrace him as their king. In fact, the fact that Israel today has a prime minister and we really do not know Israel's king. Do you understand? Israel has postured herself as a bride for this beast. And how is this the case? The man has demonstrated his desire for the beautiful land. He has increased, expanded his influence to this beautiful land.
Going to target the supreme leader?
We're doing what we need to do.
The threat of war between Israel and Iran has hung over the Middle East for more than 40 years. And we look at some of the key events and alliances that have shaped this proxy war and brought it out of the shadows.
The new Jewish state is born.
Iran and Israel's relationship used to be very different. After the creation of Israel in 1948, Iran was the second Muslim-majority nation to recognize the newly formed state. The two countries had diplomatic relations. Israel imported Iranian oil, and there were daily flights connecting Tel Aviv and Tehran, with a substantial Jewish community living in Iran. But then came the Iranian Revolution of 1979. Iran's former leader, the Shah, who was seen as a puppet of the US and the UK, was overthrown in a violent coup. In his place, Ayatollah Khomeini took power, and from the very beginning of his rule, the new religious republic described Israel as an enemy of Islam, the little Satan to its powerful ally America, the great Satan. Iran embraced the Palestinian cause, handing the hastily abandoned and ransacked Israeli embassy in Tehran over to the Palestinian Liberation Organization under Yasser Arafat. Iran, under its new leaders, called on all of the Muslim world to unite against Israel. But despite becoming enemies, the two countries have chosen to work together.
So I'm seeing the beast growing into the beautiful land. I'm seeing the beast, the little horn, the Antichrist, expanding his territory to the beautiful land. Now, it's important we look at this way, because the beast is somebody that Israel is expecting to show up at the end. That's the case, but that's not how we should see it. I want you to see the beast expressing his influence over the land of Judah. I want you to see it already happening. In fact, it started happening 2,000 years ago. It started happening 2,000 years ago when John the Baptist was just before Christ came. In fact, when he knew that the time for Christ to come was drawing close, he came to take over the land of Judah, established a new government in Judah, Herod, and put tax collectors in Judah. And that was the situation. There was a global reset in Judah. And this global reset was tied to the growing influence of this little horn. That's how I want you to see it. So the lifestyle in Israel changed 2,000 years ago. The culture, the tradition of Israel changed. There was a drastic change. In fact, this was the change that drove the children of Israel out to the wilderness to meet John the Baptist. A drastic change hit the Lord's beautiful land, the glorious land. Is the beast finding his expression, the little horn finding his expression. So I'm trying to tell you that through the 4 stages of the evolution of the beast, the little horn, he had always demonstrated his love for the beautiful land. The beautiful land, the physical land of Israel, and the beautiful land, the realm of the consciousness of Christ, the church. When the enemy moved to extend his influence to the beautiful land, Israel, Judah, the land of Judah, he also positioned himself to extend his influence to the spiritual Israel. That's why you see the church today doesn't care about the gospel. The church today will take side with an Israel that is under the influence of the beast. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why the church today is not vocal about getting Israel to repent and receive the gospel of God, which is about his son, Yeshua HaMashiach, whose kingship has been determined by his resurrection from the dead. For the church today, under the influence of the little horn, there is no need to preach the gospel to Israel. Israel is God's choice, even if Israel has shown that they are under the influence of the little horn. We want to capture the little horn as he is evolving. We want to capture him and discern him. He is evolving today through religio-political systems that have established the world order. It has established the economics of the world. It has established the spiritual conditioning of the world. It has established the religious conditioning of the world. It has established the commerce in the world. It has established the geopolity of the world. We are looking at the incarnation of the son of perdition. We are looking at the person of the little horn. We are looking at the person of the little horn. We want to shine our light on him. In our opinion, we don't believe that the church will be raptured before the Antichrist is revealed. That's a lie. That's a doctrine that the little horn had taught to help a people lower their guard, and they have lost the call to discern who is being incarnated in the field. For those who believe that the church will be out of the way before the little horn is made manifest, they have been deceived already. They are falling prey to the deception of the age, because the dragon goes out to deceive the whole world. It means these people are falling prey to the deception of the enemy. This is the delusion that we are talking about. Instead of being deceived to believe that the church will rapture before the little horn shows up, I'm telling you how the little horn has been expressing himself from day one. Over 2,000 years ago, before Christ was born, the little horn came to stand at the door. When you saw the Roman Empire take over Israel, establish Herod as king, and then you saw the wise men from east coming to Herod to look for the king that was the baby that was born king of the Jews, and then Herod says, go and worship him so that I will come after you. Show me where he is. Let me come after you. That's the little horn trying to cut Christ off. It was not just Herod saying, let me kill that man. No, that's the little horn. That's the character of the Antichrist. You have seen the character of the Antichrist through a religio-political system that's against the incarnation of Christ. That's what the little horn is doing today. He's against the incarnation of Christ. Anything that supports the manifestation of Christ, he's against it. That's exactly what I want you to see. And by so doing, he grows his influence into God's field. Be it Israel, the land of Judah, or the church. I want you to see this, that this is exactly what is happening today. And we can even come to greater details to understand this when we look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2.
You ancient Zion's king, Kadosh.
Order your copies of my books in my Amazon store.